Hey everyone, so first of all, I want to thank you for volunteering to be part of this trial texting party that I'm doing. So yesterday, the post was about hosting, and then last night I was supposed to show you tools that you can get for 60% off on your hosting. And then this morning, you saw a post about becoming a consultant. And so what I'm supposed to do is show you tools that you can get in the kit when you become a consultant. But me, because I have to learn everything like the hard way, and when I do things, I'm usually doing them kind of on the fly, and so I'm learning as I go, which is why a lot of times my recipes maybe aren't quite the way they're supposed to be. And this is no different. So I'm going to show you tools that are not in the kit. But I'll tell you about some great things about being a consultant. So just pretend that if this was a real texting party, that's what I would be doing, is telling you all the benefits of becoming a consultant. Plus, the other thing is that you also have to remember is that if this was a real texting party, they would have a table link, and the table link would be where they could see all the different tools, they could see all the different recipes. So you'll have to give me your honest feedback on what you think of this type of party, because day one is basically just showing off some tools. Day two, the texts are supposed to be about hosting, and day three is about being a consultant. And then, like I said, they can always go to table to get all the recipes and see all the other tools. So you'll have to let me know what you think about that. But anyway, so I'm going to show you this cake. We're going to our friend Ken's house today, and it's his birthday, and he wanted a hot milk cake because that's what his wife always used to make him. So the first thing you do, you should take 4 large eggs, which it says room temperature. I did take them out about 30 minutes ago. So we'll see how this works out. I'm not sure what the downside of not having them room temperature. I did wrap them in a towel. So we're gonna throw these in first. And then I have my oven set at 350. And I believe this cake takes about 35 minutes. So you'll have to let me know if you've ever made a hot milk cake, what you think of it. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm remembering that I didn't get any of the things out that I need for it. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna be using this. I'm gonna wash my hands off real quick here. Okay. So we're going to beat these eggs for 5 minutes, but don't worry, I'm gonna show you some tools while I beat. So you're gonna turn it on, and then I'm just gonna go down to, as soon as it gets where it needs to be, down to beat. And then I can set my time, and that's what I love about this mixer, is that I don't have to pay attention. I can just set it to where I need it. 5 minutes is a long time on here, especially when it's going up by 5-minute increments. Okay, so there, we've got that going. Okay, the next thing, it's gonna need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Let's see here. So then we need a little saucepan. So in our saucepan, we're going to heat up some milk. How much milk? It is a little loud. So we'll see how this goes. So we're gonna need, let's see here, 1 1/4 cups of 2% milk. Now, I don't have 2% milk, so we're gonna be using whole milk. So hang on 1 second. I grab my milk. I did get my butter out ahead of time, so there's a bonus. Okay. So I did look online that said it was okay to use whole milk. In fact, it gives it a richer flavor. So that's what we're going to hope for. These are my favorite measuring cups. You get your 4 cup, you get your 2 cup, you get your 1 cup, and then you've got up to 4 tablespoons. So it's fantastic. So, and the reason I love it is because you can, so hold it like this, or you can put it on the counter, okay? And then I'm gonna go for 1 1/4. And I can see it from above. The markings are really nice and big. So if you don't have your cheaters on, you read them like I do, you can still read it. And you can read it from the inside, which is nice. So we're going to go ahead and put this in here. Okay. And then it also called for 10 tablespoons, put that over there, of butter. And you're supposed to get that out of the way. Put this back. You're going to see what I already have going on over here. Move those out of the way. All right, 10 tablespoons. So this one's already 8, obviously. Okay. And I like, see, I'm not having to pay any attention to that other than listening to it. But I don't have to worry about the time because there is a timer on it. So we're just going to cut these into about a tablespoon because it's going to help it to melt that much quicker. Okay. So we're going to dump these in first. And I am using one of my Brilliance pans, which I do love these. Nothing sticks to them, which is super nice. And then when I throw them in all together, I'm not sure that that counts as broke apart. And then we need 2 more tablespoons. So we're just going to cut off 2 more tablespoons. Okay. All right. And we're just going to heat this until the butter is melted. So, all right, so when the butter's melted, that's the only thing I have to pay attention to. So, then I'm going to gradually add that batter. Oh, okay. So, so it says just beat it until it is thick and yellow or lemon colored. Okay, and then we're going to gradually add the sugar, beating until the mixture is light and fluffy. And we're going to need 2 cups of sugar. So, oh. I know you've probably seen these, but these are great, and you know that I love them because they have a 3/4 cup and a 2/3 cup, which I love that feature, okay? So while I'm waiting for this, because we've got about another minute, I want to show you this tool. Yesterday I used this, and it's the perfect season for it because it's cherry season. And so if you like making cherry pies, my mom used to make the most delicious cherry pies. My son was just asking me about this because they had a cherry tree outside of their house. And so my mom would have us go out and pick cherries, and then she would make a cherry pie. But as you know, cherries have to be pitted before you can make the pie. So this one, you can fit 4 cherries in there. It actually has another piece that you can do olives with, but since we're just doing the cherries, I only have this. And then you just push down. And I had my granddaughter on this task yesterday, and so it's easy enough for, and see, then they just drop down in there. Sometimes they don't go all the way, so then you just have to pull it off. But you can get through quite a few pretty quick and easy. So if you love cherries and making cherry pies, this is the tool for you, and it's dishwasher safe. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, okay, so it is not thick, but it is yellow, so I'll kind of show you. Okay. And maybe that's why I needed it to be warm. I'm not sure. Or not warm, but room temperature eggs. So let's get that back on. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add, it says to gradually add the sugar in. Okay, so since I'm making it for the first time, we're gonna be a little more careful with it. So I'm gonna turn this on to just custom, and it's just going to, if I turn it on all the way, it's going to just go kind of slower. Now what I am gonna do, to make sure I do today, is I am going to make sure that I check the bottom to make sure that I have it all off the bottom, because you want to make sure everything is mixed in. Okay. Let's see how that one's doing. It's going well. Okay, now we've got our other thing of sugar in. There's not a ton of ingredients in this recipe. We're also going to need some vanilla extract, which I love using this bourbon, double strength bourbon, Madagascar vanilla. It is amazing. So when this is done, we're going to beat in the vanilla. So what I'm going to do, I'm watching my butter over here. Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to make sure that all the sugar is off the bottom, which since it didn't start on the bottom, we should be okay on that. And you can see there's a lever back here. This is how you open it. You squeeze it and then, okay. So we're going to go ahead and keep doing that. And it is mixed in, and so then we're going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract, but because I'm using this, we're only going to go with a half of a teaspoon. But it does say to beat, let's see here. Oh, it does say I'm supposed to be beating this, so I'm going to stop that for a second. So we're going to go ahead and beat that a little faster, and then it says we're going to beat in the vanilla, okay? So, I mean, I think it's good enough, but again, we'll see how this works out. Okay, so now we've got that in there. So we're going to go ahead and let that beat. And then we just need, some baking powder. So we grab some baking powder. Oh yeah, I think we're good. If not, I know I have another thing of it. And we're going to need some flour. Okay. So, pay attention to this one. Making sure my butter is melting. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I don't want to burn my milk. Actually, I think that's all pretty good. I'm going to take that off. Leave that over there. Okay, now we need okay, now I'm going to show you how I do this just because I don't know if anybody else does this like this. But when I'm going to find my bags, I know I have them. One second. So, I like these bags. Somebody told me they didn't even know if they sold these anymore. So I like to put my flour in there because it's easier then to pour into there. So this recipe calls for, let's see here, 2 1/4 cups of flour. So we're going to get some flour in here. Okay. Now this, like I said, isn't typically a recipe I would show, but because I need to make it before we go. Okay, so we got that going over there. So we got 2, we need a 4th cup. Yep, here's our 4th cup. And then we're going to add in, and I think the reason I like using this bag, it's super easy to mix it up. And then I need 2 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. So I'm just gonna open this new one. That way I don't have to fiddle with it as much. And I think it does. Okay. On here, this bigger one, it has 2 1/2 teaspoons and has 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to kind of go in between there for my 2 1/4. And then I don't have to measure, 3 different times. So we're going to put this in here. And then, this is what I love. So I can just mix it up like this. And yeah, you could do it in a bowl. You wouldn't be wasting a bag. But for some reason, I just like doing it this way. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure we have our shield, because then I won't have flour going everywhere, but I think this goes in next. I'm going to go add to the batter, beaten. Okay, so we're going to put this on. We're going to go back to custom. Okay, so we're back to custom. We're going to pour this in. So when I got my KitchenAid, I had no idea what this shield was for. And it wasn't until I saw someone else, probably on a TV show, using it, that I realized it was for putting in your flour or adding things. so that it didn't go all over the place. All right, so now that's mixing in. And then, so it says we can beat that on low speed. So I think this is kind of a low speed, so we're gonna let that go. And then I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. As I see, it looks like it's pretty well mixed in. I'll show you guys in a second here. Oh, you know what I totally forgot about? Oh, thank goodness. I almost forgot about having a pan. So we're gonna need to spray our pan a little bit. So I'm gonna use the spritzer. And again, sorry, didn't have all these tools at the ready like I normally do. Okay. And then, even though this is a super non-stick pan, I'm just gonna spray it. Okay. Oh, this shouldn't set on that burner because that burner is hot. Okay. Ooh. It's a great, let me show you. Hopefully it's not gonna drip. It is. There. I think it's pretty. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything is off the bottom, which it is because I didn't, oops, take that out of there. Because I added everything, I didn't have everything just setting in the bottom. It's not at the bottom, which is kind of nice. So the last thing we're gonna do is we are gonna add in the milk mixture. And it says just to, I think we just add that in. Let's see here. Gradually add to the batter and beat just until combined, and that's it. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in there. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna wash my hands off. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and just, so this is just milky mixture here. This kind of reminds me, one of Doug's cousins has a recipe for homemade chocolate cake, and you add a cup of hot water, and then the batter is super like thin, but it makes the most delicious cake. Now this I may have to mix up a little more to get it off the edges. But it's got a really nice consistency. It smells good. And you can't go wrong with 10 tablespoons of butter, can you? Okay. So it is combined, but I'm going to stop it for a second just to mix it up just a little bit, making sure that all the batter is getting mixed in with that milk. We'll take that off of there. Okay. Take all this off. You'll have to let me know. You'll have to text me. Tell me, would you try this? It's not a hard recipe by any means. Okay, I'm gonna mix up one more time, and then I've got one more tool to show you. As soon as I put that in there, I'll show you one more tool. Okay. I'm gonna take this off. Turn this a little bit this way. Put this pan over here. I'm gonna take this off. Actually, I'm gonna have drips everywhere otherwise. Okay. So again, this cake was called a hot milk cake. See that pouring in there? It's not as thick as your normal cake, I don't think, but boy, does it look gorgeous. So, hopefully this will match up to what he remembers his wife making it. Okay. And then I'll show you. Then I'll show you one more thing somebody told me one time. I don't know if this is true either, but somebody told me one time that you should, let's see, with a cake, you should always drop it to get the air bubbles out of it. Don't know if that's true. Okay, So we're gonna throw it in the oven. Oh, so you can see it there. It's what it looks like. And then he said she always put a coconut frosting on top. So I'll have to make that when I get there. I'm gonna go ahead and set my timer. I'm gonna set it for 30. I think it said 35, but let's see if I've skipped any directions. It says 30 to 35, but our oven sometimes cooks a little fast. Okay, last tool I wanna show you is this. It's like a fancy cutter. And so I'll show you a couple things. So I did this for the Super Bowl and I cut these. And so at the bottom, you'll see there's this little tab thing here and it makes it go different heights. So when I did it the very lowest height, it's kind of like that, it's not. And then I kind of went at a more medium height, gave it a little more substance. And then the thickest height gave it that. So this is what I did for Super Bowl. And all you do, so I'm gonna pull it up to the highest one. And then, you guys can see that. I'm gonna put it in this side so you can see kind of how it does it. And then you just twist back. And there is this little thing, that you can put in here and it pops it up out of there. I just tip it over. So let me show you another one. Take that out, put this in. And when you're doing it, it really does it pretty quick. And then you can do it either way. So I did it this way and then I filled them with like a dip and it was delicious, okay? So I'll do another one. And like I said, when you get doing this, you can't do it on all cucumbers. English works really well because of the perfect size. The other thing you can do it with is a strawberry. So I did it face down. Now, if I leave it on that setting, it's gonna cut it about halfway and I don't want it to. So I'm gonna push it up so it doesn't cut as much of the top off. And then I'm gonna twist it, turn it back, and then, did it do it? There. So now if you're gonna do these would be really good with like a sweet, some kind of a sweet like dip or whatever. And if you wanna do that, then you might wanna just cut off a little bit off the bottom. That way they'll sit nicely. And then you could put those on a tray of some sort, like our new Cool and Serve tray. There you go. And that's that tool. So thanks so much for watching. Anxious to hear what you think of this type of party. Yeah, super anxious to hear that. So thanks so much again for volunteering to be a guinea pig for me. See ya.